Today on Origin Stories, we're joined by Shweta Shalini, businesswoman, entrepreneur, politician, and a spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party. She's advised governments, built and sold companies, and is a very sharp voice in public discourse. Mechanical engineering, tech company, politics. These are all traditionally male-dominated fields. In your mind, how do you approach these fields? How do you approach building credibility in sort of these old boy environments?
You know, Rushank, when I meet other women, one thing that I always tell them, that talent has no gender. And trust me, gender is also not a talent. So, I don't think I ever approached or saw these fields through the lens of gender. I think my father never taught me to do that. My father was an army man, and more or less I always tell people, when I was very young, he used to tell me, तुम रजनी की चांद बनोगी या दिन की मार्तंड प्रखर. Rajni is चांद, रात का चांद is very soumya, it's very beautiful, you know. या दिन की मार्तंड प्रखर means तड़कती धड़कती धूप. तुम रजनी की चांद बनोगी या दिन की मार्तंड प्रखर, एक बात है मुझे पूछनी, फूल बनोगी या पत्थर. नकली क्रीम फूल कंघी से नकली रूप सजाओगी या असली तेज लहू का आनंद पर चमकाओगी. So I am that man's daughter.
Sure.
I always thought, my father always told me that beautiful is what beautiful does. So I was always chasing a vision. Even today, I'm chasing a vision, and validation never comes in the way.
But in many ways, I think what you're referring to is that Arjun Laksh. Is that missing, you think, for a lot of people? Is that kind of what doesn't then allow them to excel in these fields? Or is it a lack of interest? It's something I have thought of all the time. I have a daughter, and so I always wonder that, you know, is it lack of interest, or is it not having that kind of, because you've met many men, I'm sure, that don't have that Arjun Laksh, that don't have that vision that you did. And I think that question then bugs people all the time, which is, why are they doing better than I am?
So Rushank, have you ever read Swami Vivekananda?
In bits and pieces.
So, you know, when you start reading Swami Vivekananda ji, you realize, and you know, you meet a lot of people along the way who will talk about focus, passion. But trust me, in life, you will realize that what drives anybody is purpose. Because until there is purpose, you cannot consistently do the same thing time and again. See, life is not about chasing one goal. Life is about getting up every single day and running. The lion runs in search of a deer, and the deer runs to save his life. So basically, the fact is that persistently, consistently, you have to be on it. And for that, you need purpose rather than anything else. You need purpose that drives you. You need that fire in the belly that gives you that sleepless night that says that I have to do this for my country, I have to do this for my family, I have to do this for people who have, you know, you're into spaces. And the whole thought that I will, you know, every single person who's ever thought of a dream house should come to me. So I came into politics because I thought that, you know, my own children, I'm making a difference to their lives. But there's so many different children whose life need to change. And with that single purpose, I decided that I need to step into what today people call as public life. Of course, I realized a lot of things later, but that's about it, right?
And that purpose of using the skills that you have or using the skills that you've acquired over the course of your life, using it for public life or public good. You think that's an acquired purpose, or is that, and so to put it a different way, I think purpose evolves as you grow. And so when you start in mechanical engineering, when you start your own tech company, was the purpose the same for you at the time? Was it still, okay, I'm going to use this medium to kind of help people, or did the purpose evolve as you evolved?
Very interesting question, Rushank. So, when I was in my class 6th,
okay,
I was very sure that I wanted to do engineering. Though I got excellent marks in my competitive exams, I still wanted to do only mechanical engineering because I was hugely inspired by my own father, who was a mechanical engineer, right? So at that point of time, what was guiding me was inspiration, right? And that's why it's very important to have idols, because these idols, these mentors, they motivate you. But slowly and steadily, I realized when I was in my engineering, I was very sure that I'm going to do my MBA.
Okay.
And I was very sure that I will do my MBA because I knew that I was extremely good at people management.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can make a career out of people management, I think that is going to be my ikigai moment.
Okay.
When I was doing my MBA and joined my first company, I joined a company which was into mechanical engineering, but I joined the sales department of the mechanical engineering organization.
And that was a choice?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I joined the very first day, I knew that at some point of time, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But before that, I wanted to learn. And hence, in my mind, I stayed for about 8 years with that organization. But in my head, I knew for sure that I'm going to be an entrepreneur very soon. So, just coming back to your question, this clarity of purpose comes if you're extremely clear on what path are you headed towards. So I was always headed towards people. And again, coming back to what my father said when I was very young. My father used to tell me कि बेटा तुम और कुछ नहीं कमाते, तुम लोग कमाते हो. So primarily, I was always set out to earn people.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was doing my MBA, I was doing it because I realized I was very good with people management. When I came into being an entrepreneur, I was doing it because I wanted to be a job creator.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never driven by the fact that, I want to make a successful company, I want to make money, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a house. I was driven by the fact that, I'm going to be a job creator. And so many people are going to be attached to me because I created that opportunity for them.
There's a lot that I would love to get to, but I'm going to say the aspect of being a spokesperson is great because the phraseology is very fertile. So I'm gonna stick to one of the phrases that I find very interesting, which is earn people. I think there's various connotations to that, and I think all of us in our lives go through versions of that, right? And I can speak for myself, maybe not all of us, but I think you always yearn to meet interesting people. You always yearn to have good conversations, and you have to kind of juxtapose that with who you are. Are you bringing something to the conversation? Are you bringing something to the table, so to speak? How do you think of that process, right? To your mind, what does that mean? What does earning people mean to you?
Okay, so in my head, earning people is, see, there are 3 ways that you can connect to people. And for me, these are the 3 ways that anybody, any one person gets connected to the other person. Intellectually. So if I and you both feel that intellectually we bind together, I'm the intellectual juices are flowing, it's an interesting conversation, then we connect. Second, through the heart. They say love is blind. So when you love somebody, then there is no questions asked. You just get connected to that person. You don't see nothing. You don't see if it is matching your frequency, if it is intellectually giving you, your juices are flowing or no, nothing. But there is this third very interesting way in which people get connected, and that is through the tummy, the stomach. When you do something that ensures that their houses are fed, their dignity goes higher, they earn a livelihood, that is the point of time when that person gets connected to you somewhere. Because if you actually look at it, 70,000 villages did not have electricity before 2015. And every house that got electricity after 2015 got connected to Shri Narendra Modi in a manner where the child tomorrow is going to study in that bulb and probably score 100, and the entire generation is going to change. Now, this is what to me is earning people. I want to earn people intellectually. I want to earn people through my heart because I love people. I love to have friends. I love to meet new people. Exactly like you said. And last but not the least, I want to make a difference in people's lives, either through policies, either through making a change, being a change maker. If nothing else, then just motivating them. So, just by living my own life, sometimes you can become someone's idol.
And when you think of these things, is it when you meet someone, right? And on the political scale, it's, I think, slightly different because the amount of homes that get connected to electricity through a government program, or when the government kind of helps create private programs, slum redevelopment, or the internet being so reasonably priced in this country as opposed to anybody else, it cannot be done without the partnership of the public and the government, right? But then there's an individual version of that. And I think the Prime Minister is a great example because on an individual basis as well, almost nobody ever says something negative because that's the charisma of the person. And so to your mind, what are the things that people need to do on an individual basis? Or what are the things, is it something that people can learn? Is it something that you can train for? Because if it's such an important skill, can you just say, look, some people are just born with it, and if you're not, you're not?
No, it's every skill can be acquired. And this is certainly a skill that needs to be acquired. In fact, to a lot of new millennials and the Gen Zs that I talk to, always talk about passion. And I always redirect them to purpose. Yeah. Because passion will only last a few hours, a few years, or maybe a few decades. But for a lifetime, and maybe post your lifetime, purpose remains.
So I'll interject a little bit. And there's so many people that I meet that I think are lost because they haven't found a purpose, or they haven't found something worth fighting.
I recently met a person a youngster who told me that I'm going through a quarter life crisis.
Yeah, correct. And I would not be surprised if we hear smaller and smaller fractions of that. And so in many ways, passion is easy, right? So because I've always found the difference between passion and purpose is very interesting. And the way I look at it is, if you're very passionate about something, you would be satisfied by tweeting about it or putting it on Instagram. But if that's a purpose, then you may never even open Instagram or, and the most interesting examples of that is creating peace. I think there's people that put stuff on Instagram extremely passionate. If you talk to them, you will feel that, if you actually have to go and do the work that it takes.
I'm so happy, Rushank, you've got this up. Now, let me say a couple of things here. See, armchair activism is the easiest to do. And most often than not, especially because this podcast of yours will go to a lot of urban people.
To be honest, I don't even think it's activism for a lot of people. Like, I don't think they have an end goal. They're just upset about things or,
No, you are wrong, Rushank. You are extremely wrong. Let me correct you. There are a lot of people who are being captured in this manner, in their mindsets. Now, I have to show you this very, very interesting thing. Do you see this?
Uh-huh.
This is a magazine which is called Vidrohi, right? This is the cover page of that magazine, hugely aimed at the same armchair activist that you are talking about. So, now, one rape that happens in the country, and this is the magazine that comes out. You know what they are targeting? They're basically, see, look at it. It says, Sahib Amala Dusra Desh Deya. They have an image like this and they actually say this. You know why they say this? Because these people who only go on Twitter and Instagram and tweet about something and become very happy about it, these are the people who will fall prey. For everything, now this is a graphic which actually says that every man is a rapist in India.
And I think, but to be honest, I think you're seeing a huge diversion in on-ground results and Twitter elections. And so and this is not, and I'm because I think all of us genuinely believe, most of us, right? When you obviously represent a party, you represent a spokesperson, we all have our ideologies, but I think most of us would love a place where you don't meet some of that, where everybody is fair and everybody is, and part of the reason we do all of this is because
ultimately, whether it is you or it is me, we are all run by the Constitution of India, right?
I would say even beyond that, in the sense that the actual discourse on Twitter is so disconnected, or on Instagram is so disconnected from the discourse on ground, that people are perpetually shocked at things they should not be shocked at. And then that leads to accusations of various kinds on various people. So my question to you actually on that point is, what is the solution? Because there's two ways to look at it. The one way to look at it is, this is absurd, right? But you can't hate everybody. You can't, and I say this all the time, that there is 45-50% of, in fact, in our system, at any given point, even the most popular party would have 35% of the votes or 40% of the votes, right? I cannot live in a country where I hate 60% of the people, or I think that they're stupid, or I think that they shouldn't belong. And I think people who think like that, and that's kind of where a lot of the issues lie, because I think you can disagree without thinking the other person is a monster or has to leave. And I'm going to ask you for your take on this. I've always felt the solution to that, unfortunately, is a 15-year solution, which is education. Regardless of who we think the enemy is today, and there are real enemies, so you have to deal with it, unfortunately, in a real manner. I think the original issue was the breaking of the education system and the kind of education system we had in villages and the gurukuls and that system that I think British did very purposefully so. So let me ask you, how do we build that back up? How do we build the kind of defense that we would need in the mind, according to you, for people to not fall prey, or for people to have a discourse without getting into violence?
So, a couple of things here. We all need to understand, and we all need to know that ultimately we are part of a nation that believes in democracy. We are world's largest democracy. And the beauty of democracy is that I can disagree with you and yet party with you. We have different ideologies. We have different, what is unity in diversity? We have different religions. and yet be friends. We can have different political ideologies and yet be friends. Now this hatred, unfortunately, there are reasons why this hatred is now seen very, very clearly in current times. And personally, I'm sure you can understand this. The reason for this, I blame, is technology. Because today, algorithm is what is governing your choices. So you are so much on Instagram, you are so much on what is being shown to you, that you do not understand that the algorithm and technology is playing on your psyche. So what they are trying to make me believe is something that we are believing. And that is the world that we need to stop. And you're right. It is about education. It is about communication. It is about getting to our roots, back to our roots. Because ultimately, see, families are getting very smaller. People do not have the time to talk to each other. So fundamental, I believe that family is the first school. So in the family, when a child learns with the parents, then there are so many things that even if he learns from outside which are not right, he corrects, his equilibrium stands strong because of his traditional values at home. Now, that's what is weakening in India. And unfortunately, this is what the so-called, as we call it in our party, the so-called liberal forces want. Because the only way to break India is to actually break the force that binds it together. And that is the reason why we should be aware. Family practices. Look at the number of girls who don't want to get married today. Look at the number of girls who do not want to have kids today. Why? What is this concept of feminism? I mean, we have the Saraswati, the Durga, the Lakshmi, and you think feminism will empower women?
I also think some of this is cyclical. And so if you look at America now, I think there is, and I always think we're 30, 40 years behind them because some of it is imported from there, and language plays a huge part in it. Success plays a huge part in it. People want to follow countries or places that they deem are successful. And so you're already seeing a sort of reversal of that trend. And I think you will see it here. But there's another word that you use that's actually a pretty interesting word, which is job creator. And I remember growing up, we used to be worried about riots and stuff like that. And there's a lot of work that has been done politically and otherwise to ensure some of that doesn't happen. But one of the most underrated aspects, in my estimation, is that everybody in the city is just a lot more successful. And so they have a lot more to lose. Even considering the current escalations, even the people that really want to take action, right? The same people. I think what sometimes people think about is, as a country, we have so much more to lose. As a people, we have so much more to lose. As a country, we've taken ourselves to such a different stratosphere that does it. You always have the fear of wrestling with a pig, right? Because they'll enjoy it. They'll enjoy the mud. And for you, you're in mud, you're not used to being in the mud anymore. So my question to you would be that, can we create, and I know everybody's trying, right? I don't think it's from a lack of trying. But and I'm going to come back to the democracy question because I have that in my mind all the time. For a country the size that we are, I think job creation is the single easiest way to get everybody together. Whether it's in my company, whether it's in your company, whether it's in the army, seeing the people who are giving the speeches right now, in successful environments, you tend to forget the divisions, right? In divisive environments, in failing environments, a lot of the divisions then come up. Can democracy generate the success that India needs? And I'm going to spend another minute. I just don't think there's that many successful democracies. And so if you ask me, I'd rather be in an unsuccessful democracy than a successful dictatorship.
Exactly. That was my counter question to you. Good you said it.
But the question is, do we have to be realistic in what we can achieve? And sometimes being frustrated is just a function of not being realistic as to what your potential is. So if I am miserable because I can't play in the IPL, I will just be miserable. And so what are the limitations of democracy?
Okay, great. So, Rushank, I firmly believe that India cannot be looked at through the lens of the typical definitions of these big words or these political words that we see across the globe, right? Including left-wing and right-wing. I firmly do not believe that Bharatiya Janata Party is a right-wing party. I firmly believe I am center of center. Right? And I know of hundreds of people within our party who believe that they are right-wingers, right?
Yeah.
So it is unfortunate. So I see, again, coming back to your question, I firmly believe that India, so because you've been in the US, you know what individualism is, right? Now, if you actually look at how India and Indians have been brought up, I have always been told that Hinduism makes you a seeker. So I'm a seeker. I'm seeking something. And that gives me the purpose.
Yeah.
And that's why this individualism is deeply rooted into our own system. See, I've written Aham Brahmasmi. I have to go inside first and understand my own strength. That's when strength will build strength across.
Yeah.
But we are also believing in collectivism when we talk about family values. I firmly believe in the institution called marriage, in the institution called family. It is beautiful. I mean, for you to dedicate your life to a set of people who are your own, it is so amazing. It is so amazing. I mean, as a woman, I always say this, that when you get married, you just adopt another set of parents. It's this. Can there be anything as beautiful as this? Now, between individualism and collectivism is a point where India stands. So, for us, defining what India is very, very critical. And hence, it is important for us to go back to where we started. We do not, when in politics, we don't call ourselves as Rajniti. Rajniti was what? जब हमारे पास अलग अलग राज्य होते थे तो उनके बीच की नीतियों को राजनीति कहते थे. Today we need to stand for राष्ट्रनीति. Nation has to come first. I'm angry on things like this because, whatever you are, whichever party you are, you cannot be against the nation because this is all we have.
Do you think that this kind of quite obviously provocative statement or printing is created to ensure that the people who are in power get distracted and then overreact? So we are just constantly one of the flaws that I see of democracy is you're constantly oscillating between one side and the other. So the center actually, which is the majority of the people who actually are not bothered about politics, right? Who would ideally like someone to keep them safe, which is important, give a nice environment to work with, but just go to work, do their duty, be with their family, which is ultimately one of the most fun parts or the enjoyable parts of living life.
But Rushank, you need to see this pyramid from the top, from the leadership point of view, right? See it from where Shri Narendra Modi ji is seeing it. Now, when you're making a scheme, you know that there is a set of population who really needs the scheme.
Yeah.
But they do not vote for you or your political party.
Correct.
So do you stop that scheme? No, you don't. You don't. Out of the 35 crores Jan Dhan accounts, maximum number of Jan Dhan accounts have gone to women and Muslim women. So you need to understand this. A lot of these Awas Yojanas, the schemes which is of free housing, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, has gone to Muslim people. They don't vote for us as a political party. But in governance, there needs to be an equilibrium and equity. And that's why governance always talks about equity. So a person on the top needs to understand that there needs to be equity. But it is political parties like, say, for example, Rahul Gandhi ji, when he goes outside of India, all of a sudden he realizes everything which is wrong with the country. When you are in India, debate it out. Say things. Choose a platform. Come to the parliament. That is what it is meant for. Let's discuss here. Whatever is right and wrong, Rushank, we can sit on the table and communicate and discuss and debate, or at least agree to disagree.
But I will say, on behalf of the results, that I think to a huge degree, I think that decision has been taken of what methodology people prefer. I think a methodology of trying. And I'm going to go back to my question a little bit, which I think is a more fundamental question that we need to get to. Because I've done a lot of thinking on this, right? People love America, people love the successes of America. But the challenge is America is not, in many ways, America has been a democracy less than we have. Because, I don't know how many people know this, but for the longest time, only the rich in America could vote.
Yes.
And then if you were of a certain color, you couldn't vote. And then if you were of a certain gender, you couldn't vote.
Correct.
And as we are seeing now, within 50 years of everybody being allowed to vote, chaos is starting to reign in that system as well.
And more importantly, till today, America has not had a woman president.
There's two aspects to that. I think there is the aspect of, do you elect someone because they're a woman, or do you elect someone who happens to be a woman?
No, the question is, you do not choose a person to be a presidential candidate because the person is a woman. So that is not right.
Correct. And
that is
not that.
See, and this is the fight that we are having in India as well. The Nari Shakti Vandan bill, or the amendment that is coming, which is the reservation of women. I don't believe in reservation of women, right? Because I don't feel that women need reservations. What we need is equal opportunity. But then the fact is that equal opportunity, when it is not given, it is important to represent the unrepresented.
So I'm going to ask you your first question again.
Yes.
There is obviously a case in your own life, because every field you went in is a field of less opportunity for women. And you broke through that. Do you feel today that you've been given equal opportunities in this country or not?
So, let me say this. Whenever I talk to myself, I always say this, that I just want to make it a little more easier than what it was for me, for women who follow my path. And I'll stick to this because it's not been easy, and it will never be. It will never be, because it's a man's world.
Is that a failure of education? Is that a failure of religion?
No.
Is that a failure of culture?
No. Rushank, it's just a power variation. Please understand. So there are two chairs, right? And there are many men and less women. So it is just simple that men network with each other.
So representation.
It's just representation, and that's exactly what I was trying to tell you. That reservation is important because you need to represent the unrepresented. It is because maybe the opportunity is there, but then the fact is that there are just so many men that have been there in that field that women never ever turned up.
And how do we solve for certain fields being almost genetically uninteresting? And in both sides. So this is, again, not a specific question to engineering or tech, right? But in general, I think there are some variations. I think part of the reason marriage works and family works is because there are variations in how people behave, and it's a spectrum. And so, I'm not saying everybody is different, but in many ways, people are very different. That's kind of the more interesting aspects, which is why different things sell and different, things do well. I don't think you are advocating for it. Anybody's advocating for sort of an equal number of people. I think it's just an equal opportunity.
Exactly.
So coming to that opportunity, whenever you decide, or when you decided to kind of do two things at the same time, or wear two hats, which is one of an entrepreneur, which you said is your dream, and then kind of taking time away from that dream to wear a second hat. Is that an opportunity that you felt you took because in your position that is something you should have done so that you can make life easier for the next person? Or you just did it because you wanted to do it and then see where that takes you?
So that's very interesting. See, your political journey is exactly like your spiritual journey, right? Who appeals to you and how far you go is very individualistic to yourself. So when I started off in my political journey, the basic idea was that as an entrepreneur, I was making a difference to a few people. I realized that a seat of power can actually influence a complete generation, and especially people who have the empathy to understand and selflessness. So as a mother, I realized that how selfless love can be. When I saw my own child, I realized that you can go all out to do whatever you want to for the child. If I could do that for my own child, was it something that I could bring on the table for someone else's child? Maybe an orphan, or maybe a malnutrition child. And that's exactly where I was driven to. I was driven to the fact that my tummy was full. I made money, and I realized that, as a successful entrepreneur, I could only make more money, which was not the purpose. The purpose was, as I've said, to earn people. And this calling was so strong that until you bring selflessness to public life, just step into a world where you can contribute, where you can be a change maker, where you can actually feel and empathize for them. And that's one of the reasons why I started. So when I started this, the idea was different. The goal was different. The goal was to be a change maker. The goal was developmental. But I soon realized that to be able to actually do all of that, you need to be in the position of power. And hence came the political party, and hence came political work with it. And hence came the idea of social engineering and structuring, and then building your own identity, and then building up to where.
And I think people always wonder on the specifics, right? When people, because again, we're not day-to-day. Most people day-to-day are just trying to figure out their own stuff. And so, you get involved in elections, or you get involved in politics for the elections because it obviously matters who your leaders are, it obviously matters who your corporator is, and so that entire gamut matters. But I think your own house short-term matters so much more. And so what are, when you talk about social change, when you talk about political change, because I don't know how many people know this, and we can maybe get into this a little bit, but there's companies that you've formed on the entrepreneur side, there's companies that you've sold. On the political side, there's the Village Transformation Foundation, which is kind of an interesting specific thing that I found when I was kind of researching this. And I think a lot of us would find that very interesting, because I think I can speak from my age bracket, right? But I think people prefer the small specifics more than the large promises in many ways. Ideally, you can do both. But would you kind of help us understand what that does, how that works, and how, even if it's 100 lives, even if it's 1,000 lives, how these lives change, and what is the value that someone like you can provide? Because that's an inspiration if it's multiplied correctly. I think then in many ways that is a genuine contribution you can make to the country if you are not in the army, or if you are not able to go to these places.
Good. So Rushank, a lot of people use this word called collaboration, right? Now, when you and me come together and do something, then it is collaboration, right? But I personally thought at some point of time that more than collaboration, what India needs is convergence.
Okay.
Right? You need to do your own stuff. I need to do my own stuff. And both of us should have the same purpose. जैसे रेल की दो पटरियां होती हैं, कभी मिलती नहीं है, लेकिन हमेशा साथ रहती हैं. And they achieve what they are supposed to achieve. And that is the concept which is extremely important for developmental science today. Now, the Village Transformation Foundation that you've been talking about, it was the brainchild of Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji. He was the chairman. And because we had such a creditable face in Maharashtra, we realized that a lot of these stakeholders across the state, especially for a village, who all are the different stakeholders? So one of the most important stakeholder is the ministry. But when I started digging deep into it, I realized that within the ministry, there are few departments that also work in silo. They don't talk to each other. And then if you actually look at a village, there are multiple ministries which are supposed to work there. So when the departments are not talking to each other, the ministries are definitely not talking to each other, the ministers are not talking to each other, the policies are not talking to each other, and then India is a federal state. So we have the state government schemes, and then we have the central government schemes. So in this entire chaos, one person who decides that I need to find the loophole and make my own money actually makes his money, and there is no development that actually happens at the grassroots. And this is what India has been saying for so long.
Can we, and I'll let you finish, but it's a very interesting point that you made. Considering the numbers involved, can we run a country purely on hoping that everybody is altruistic?
No, it is not about hoping. See, I believe in structures. If you can structure something, how does an organization work? The country needs to work. The constitution gives you a structure. Now, the Gram Swaraj Panchayat system gives you a structure. So, there are 29 items under the Gram Swaraj system which says that under Panchayati Raj, these are the 29 items, line items that you need to do. And that's about it. Now, what we need to do is to have accountability. And accountability now, Shri Narendra Modi ji or Devendra Fadnavis ji are able to bring into the system because of technology. And that's why I feel in today's world, technology is the biggest boon and the biggest bane.
But I'm going to ask you as someone from a party that has had few of the most powerful, well-respected leaders. It's still a little bit, we still need that leader within the country to really affect change. And what I am trying to understand is, you think we'll be able to get to systems? And it's really funny, it's a few friends of mine who live in Belgium. And there was like a 10-year period where they just didn't have a parliament. And the country was just fine. The country survived. And I think for all our faults, I think what the government does for the people, without getting into specifics, but I think what the governments do for the people, the lowest end of the people, I don't think they would survive without a government. In all honesty.
No, you're hugely mistaken.
Because I think when things like COVID come, when things like of this nature show up.
No, Rushank. India and Indians are just made for crisis situations. We work the best when we are in crisis. I think we managed COVID the best across the globe. We were the first to come out
with the government.
That's true, but trust me, you know, I belong to a political party, but I would still say that in this entire system of democracy, I still firmly believe that the most intelligent of the lot are the people. So, you know, I was talking about Rahul Gandhi, and you just told me that, you know, the people sorted it out and they have already given a mandate. People are, you can never underestimate the power of the people. They are fantastic. So, what you need is to basically you need a structure to run the expectations of the people in the manner of an organization.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. People expected something from India. People expect something from, and just to tell you, you know that BMC has not been operational for the past 5 years, and yet everything is working fine, right? So, in this bicameral structure, we still have, you know, the right kind of people who will ask for accountability. What was missing was the piece where how to ensure that accountability remains, and with technology that has happened.
Okay.
Now there are people who can question and ask Now I have right to service. So if I kind of give an application, I tell them that, okay, 21 days, if this is not done, then I know that this is the law and this is the system. I can ask this person on why my work was not done in 21 days.
In so many ways, I think when you talk to people, I think it's not that on an individual basis they're not able to get answers, or it's just the collective weight of everything that has to be done. And again, I hate, it's not my nature to blame things that happened a few hundred years ago, but I think we've taken so much somewhat wrongly from the colonial system, that the paperwork of it all, so yes, you would get answered in 21 days, or you can get your ration card, or you can get some of these things. But I think people sometimes just get stressed under the weight of the processes. So what I was trying to get at is that when we talk about convergence, or when we talk about collaboration, and I much prefer the word convergence because that kind of allows for the federal structure to do its thing. And at various times over the next 200 years, I don't think we'll be here, but the structure will flow because that's the history of the world.
Exactly.
There's a couple of things that I think are a little bit divergent, if I can use that word. I think in all senses, politics takes a lot of the brickbats, but it is answerable. I think there are very serious aspects of my day-to-day life, people who govern it, that are not answerable, right? So the administrative state, the judicial state. Can we create convergence when there is, in many ways, divergent thought processes? Is that fixable?
So I'm an eternal optimist, and I love the country.
I think Indians are.
We all are,
Yeah.
right? So yes, I'm extremely hopeful. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I know for sure, and I keep saying this, that because I do not come from a political background, it was very difficult for my family to accept the fact that when I was in public functions with them, to tell that their mother is a politician, or to accept the fact that I was a politician, right? Because for donkey long years, being a politician is as good as giving a gali.
Yes, and as a developer, I feel your pain.
Yes, I agree that.
I think part of the reason, and it's actually linked in many ways, because it's referred to as a nexus. Do you think the lack of adequate compensation for the role that is being carried out, and I would include judiciary, I would include the administrative services, I would include politicians, has a huge impact on because I've always believed in, there's laws of physics, there's laws of social life, so laws of life, right? And economics is a very interesting thing because it will find its equilibrium. And so can you genuinely sustain a country of the complexity of ours if you are almost never incentivizing the most honest and smart people? And so you said yours is a family of non-politicians. And I'm sure their success allows you to carry out politics the way you would want to. And so that is always a question I have. And that's a question for the people. That's not really a question for anybody else. I'm going to ask you to remove your political hat and all the other hats.
Yes, in fact, I'm going to answer a very non-popular kind of an answer for this. And I firmly believe in this. See, Rushank, it is important for us to understand that in this political world, right? See, it is not about, I always say this, that Indians are not self-regulatory.
Mm-hmm.
If we do not have compliances, we might not just comply.
Well, we used to be.
Now, so I have my questions on that. But then the fact is, see, Indians are extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
Indians are very, very sharp. And not because we are Indians just because I think our genes are very, very sharper, smarter. मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ अपने बच्चों को कि अगर वो भाजी जो बेचती है उससे पहले अगर कैलकुलेट करके दिखा दिया कि टोटल कितना हुआ है. You take half a dozen of this, half kilo of this, 1/4 kilo of something, and she calculates faster than a calculator, and she still doesn't use a calculator. So we have extremely sharp genes, but we have sharp genes because of Darwin's theory. We were just too many, and it was always a fight to survival. मुझे ऐसा लगता है personally आपके question को answer करने के लिए that India is progressing. And now we have more and more people whose tummies are full. So now you see a lot of individual social responsibility also coming by. A lot of donations happening. A lot of people who are now giving.
As in a lot of developing countries, right? And that's the history of America. That's the history of a lot of developing countries.
And that's why at some point of time, now that we do not have to fight for our bread, we might just get back to being self-regulatory also.
So the scarcity mindset, I think, is
exactly
what killed us.
Exactly.
And I think that was again created as various, maybe not the right forum, but as a developer, right? But the concept of stamp duty, the concept of actually paying for anything when you transfer land,
exactly,
is brought by the British to create some challenges.
And I still blame the first 50 years, the first 70 years. Because we continued the colonial mindset. We never thought that money could be distributed. We never thought that the competitiveness in the country can be built in. And hence, a few people made a lot of money, and the equity was very bad in the country. And all thanks to the policies of the Congress. Now, what we have started out to do is the country as a whole. If you actually look at the middle class has all of a sudden become the upper middle class. And there could be various reasons to it.
But our challenges, I think, unfortunately, require us to catch up faster, right? Because, and this happens to us in business, and you will appreciate that your past mistakes, nobody gives you any leeway for. Right, so if you are to catch up, so if you're BlackBerry and you made a mistake, if you don't catch up, you perish. And we're always moving towards countries functioning like companies.
Yeah.
So when you look at our adversaries, the ones that we should compare ourselves to.
Yes.
Even if it's friends, right? Even if it's and the country I think that we should look to most is Japan.
Yes.
Because I've always felt, hey, they like us, we like that, we have a great relationship, but I've always felt that they've managed to maintain their identity without going into the kind of things that you would need to do if you were to copy China. Obviously, they have advantages, we have disadvantages, so on and so forth, but they did do a rebuild.
Yeah.
And they did a rebuild from a tragedy that is akin to a lot of the tragedies we faced, be it partition and be it so on and so forth. So when you are part of a political party, when you have given yourself the ability to be part of the decision-making process, do you guys get into best practices? Do we look at what other countries are doing, what they're doing well? And why does it sometimes feel like it's just, when you travel to some of these places, we're just not able to implement things that should sometimes be implementable here? So
yes, you'll be surprised because this is direct. The question was directed to my political party. So
in general, but specifically because it is
we are a ruling party.
It is a party in power. So
you'll be surprised, Rushank, with this leadership and the kind of work that we are doing. We are not only mapping the best practices, we are mapping almost every policy that every other country has done. For example, we know exactly how Singapore became Singapore, Dubai became Dubai, and China became China. So if you actually look at the infrastructure development that is happening right now, is the similar kind of infrastructure development that happened in China before they saw the entire boom of their goods. Today, in India, there are a whole lot of ships that come to the Mazgaon dock, but the problem is that for them to cross the Western Ghats, you don't have a railway line. So it is most important to connect cities first. And that's why what we are doing this decade, we have spent on is infrastructure. We are now want to see the results. So the best practices, of course, have been not only compared, but we are following that. There is a model in which the leadership is working today. Having said that, please understand that, again, India has unique set of its own features, and it is important to carry that. But government, Rushank, is like a big, strong elephant. For it, and so is the country, for it to even sit down and get up, it takes time. So it cannot be like this Alsatian dog, which will swiftly get up and fly away or
And
whatever.
yet, youth is like an Alsatian dog. We have a very young country. And again, I'm speaking more generically, but it will always impact any party in power more because you are in power, and the intent of that is to continue because the policies should work. And continuity is one of the kind of most useful policies, right? How do you guys juxtapose that fear or that sort of discussion point of the nature of the large ship turning versus the intent amongst the people in the ship to have it turn faster and avoid it getting frustrating or avoid it getting almost dangerous in its frustrations?
So interestingly, the Bharatiya Janata Party or Shri Narendra Modi or especially in Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis ji, it's categorically clear that the government should do what it is supposed to do. Now, we firmly believe that government is supposed to facilitate. And that's one of the reasons why, irrespective of most popular beliefs, categorically it has been said that if there is a institution which the government does not know how to run, it should not run. Why should government is not supposed to run an enterprise? It is just supposed to facilitate it. And that is why every segment, the IT sector made most of the middle class, so to say, rich. When I started off as an entrepreneur, I didn't know that there are other people who will pay for me to do my own business. I didn't know that. But because I was an IT entrepreneur, there were investors out there who invested in me, my product, my services. And that is because the entire IT sector was not regulated by the government. So the best the government can do is leave this youth aside and ask them and give them all the facilities to do what they want to do. So if you actually look at today, what we are saying is, you want to do a startup? We'll fund you, we'll give you incubators, we will run the IPs, we will do the patents for you, we will ensure that you get the space, you get the grants. But go ahead, do. Whatever you want to do. And hence, the startup infrastructure all of a sudden has started booming. So, just to sum up, I think the government as a large elephant needs to understand what they can do slowly and steadily, but firmly. And hence, the larger investments of infrastructure, the larger vision is what the government is doing as on today. And the bits and pieces of where the people can contribute. And that is the beauty of convergence. That is when, see, whatever I think, a lot of people talk about Shri Narendra Modi, and the only thing that I speak for him is that he is, that young person who has given hope to every other youth by making them believe that India will be the next superpower. And that feeling is not a hope today. It is not a vision. It is a belief system for a lot of youths. And it's a belief system for people like me. I know for sure that everybody who decided at some point of time who were doing engineering with me are sitting in the US will have to come back to India because this is the country of the future.
I think you're right. I think there is tremendous hope in the system. And I think, but sometimes what happens is we get so many of the simple things wrong, right? So I think people get frustrated when just as they walk off the coastal road and they get into Bandra, they get frustrated. And I think part of the frustration is we are capable of doing the coastal road, right? So much of India's juxtaposition of everything, of, you know, the best Japanese food money can buy. And as you walk down the street, you know, you are not even sure if your foot will land in a puddle or not. And I think, unfortunately, people also feel helpless to change that and to fix that. And so I'm going to come back to your point in convergence. Sorry, I'm picking on some of the words that I have found more interesting, and so I'm going to stick to convergence. I think the compensation regime for the people running the policies that we would need them to run almost never allows for the smartest people after they've entered business. So, and I say this very carefully, right? Because getting past the systems or the guardrails we have set to be able to be a part of IAS or IPS or IFS requires you to be exceptionally bright. And yet, we don't have too much entry happening once people enter into the corporate world. We don't have the American system of experience entering. Is there any reason why someone running the city of Bombay should be paid anything less than someone running the largest corporations of this country? So are we ready as a public, and this is where I'm going to ask you to request to not put on a party hat, but are we ready as a public to have the administrative services earn upwards of 100, 200 crores a year as compensation? So are we ready to say that if the roads of Bombay meet certain criteria, and do you think that will fix things?
On the contrary, Rushank, I think I beg to differ. Whether it is the IAS, Indian Administrative Services, or public services like politics, or any other services business, please understand that this is not a business. Politics is not a profession. And until we keep looking at it,
administration should be.
Okay. You also said that, the smartest of the brains come to becoming a bureaucrat. I defer to that as well. The problem with India is, and you had taken the name of Japan, when Hiroshima and Nagasaki happened, post that, when they wanted to build Japan once again, what did Japan do? They actually looked at America, and every university of America, there was a Japanese professor sitting out there as an HOD. They called every single teacher home who taught the people the right things. Unfortunately, the professions that really matter in our country are professions where we don't have a lot of social goodwill. For example, if you really want to pay somebody well, please pay a teacher very well and give him as much respect that no other person will get, so that the best of the people in the classroom becomes a teacher. Today, for that Lal Batti, and thankfully Shri Narendra Modi ji has done away with that Lal Batti, a state like Bihar used to teach not ABC to their children, but IAS to their children. So, and I do not agree that the smartest of the brain become bureaucrats. They are just people who do a competitive exams. I think you need a lot more experience to run an organization and to become an entrepreneur and so on and so forth. And if the best of the brains would come and become a bureaucrat, then the policy would not be made by the big fours of the world. They would sit down and write the policies. Unfortunately, there is no accountability. Unfortunately, they do not understand that they are doing a service. I firmly believe that you have to enter politics or a place like bureaucratic service, administrative service, to give service. That should be the purpose. Don't come for the lal batti. Don't come for the power. Don't come for the fact that, I'm going to be sitting on a chair. That, why I don't see, a politician in any other country actually does a day job. I don't know why we make such a big deal about it. And exactly once we understand this, I personally feel the problem is going to solve a little bit, because then the equilibrium will be distributed.
Yeah, I think that's the hope. I think that's the eternal hope. We're an optimistic country. There's a very famous saying in the world that India disappoints both the optimist and the pessimist. So as we finish up, I think that being flexible in how you think is very important. And sometimes I feel that's missing in the day-to-day as people get caught up. Is there any idea or any concept that you had that, when you read a book or heard someone talk, you felt, oh, no, I was wrong, or I have changed my mind, that you'd like to share with us, or something of that nature?
So the reason why I got inspired by Sri Narendra Modi ji is because he was one man who always believed, even when he was a chief minister of Gujarat, he always believed कि एक अकेले से ही होगा.
Mm-hmm.
For years together, we were told, and I believed, एक अकेले से क्या होता है? एक अकेले से क्या होता है? And it was a phrase in the country. अकेले हमारे करने से क्या होता है? अकेले हम ईमानदार होंगे तो क्या होगा? एक अकेले आदमी ने करके दिखाया कि नहीं करके दिखाया? And now I tell people, एक तारा होता है, इतने बड़े जहाज को रास्ता दिखाता है कि नहीं दिखाता है? एक गाना बजता है, सब उड़ जाते हैं कि नहीं उड़ जाते हैं? एक वोट, every single vote matters. That's exactly what we say. And it is the first step, your first step that you take towards entrepreneurship. My first thought that told me that I'm going to be an entrepreneur, that made a difference to my life. I think it is that one thing that guides you, that one purpose, that one fire in the belly, that one thought, and that one person. So after I met him, all of a sudden, I realized that मुझे इतने सालों से बताया गया, वो तो सच में गलत था. एक अकेले से ही होता है. और it is difficult, it takes time, but होता है. It is not impossible. So now when I get disheartened, when I feel that, oh, it's taking time, oh, I'm a woman, that's not happening, oh, I'm, having this difficulty, I always think that एक अकेले से ही होता है.
I think that's just such an inspiring message, and a great way to kind of end today's discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rushank. It was fun. I just want to ask you why you kept this snake and ladder.
I think it's very important.
You don't want to call us snakes, right?
No, I think this game is very interesting, because it was invented here.
Okay.
So Snakes and Ladders is an Indian game.
Yes.
And I think what it's been telling us is that the divisions, the treachery, the Rajniti, so to speak, that all of us sometimes get caught up in, has been going on for thousands of years. And we're still here. And we'll still be here. So sometimes it's incumbent upon us to not take all of this very seriously. Think of the larger picture.
So it brings in childhood memories in mind.
It does. And to me, it kind of means that at the end of the day, you will end up where you started?
So, you have a younger brother. I have a younger brother too. He's 7 years younger to me. And when we were small, we would play this game. And every time at 98, 99, when we would hit the snake and come down, the other would be very hopeful. And yet, you would be disheartened, but you knew that you still have a chance to win.
Correct.
Because he's going to hit the same spot and he might just go back again to where he started. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful game. And I think...
So again, thank you so much for taking your time off for the discussion. And we kind of hope to invite you again if you will give us the time.
Thank you, Rushank.